Put your hands together this morning. Amen. To God be the glory. To God be the honor. Oh, come on, put those hands together this morning. God has been better to you than that. God continues to show himself strong in your life and fortify you in some way, form, or fashion. Daniel is a very familiar book that we read. We read Daniel's, some portion of Daniel in every consecration that we do at the beginning of the year. We call a fast. And there's so many layers to unpeel when it comes to Daniel and some of the things he endured. But one thing that stood solid with Daniel is that he loved the Lord. Daniel was minding his own business when these people came against him, these governors, if you would, came against Daniel because of envy. It could have been because of stress. We're not sure. I'm led to think from a biblical standpoint that because he was a Jew working in a high office over here with the Persians, that they had issue with it. You've seen how people have issues on it. Sometimes they mad with you because they don't think you deserve what they're getting because you didn't come from where they came. So they start looking at you. You know, people got a little more money. They look at people who don't have money funny because they feel like you shouldn't have none of the opportunities. You shouldn't have none of the joy that they have. We see it every day. It's called racism. Yeah, and racism is not just dealing with the skin pigment. Today, you got a bunch of blacks who got money that treat other blacks who are the same color just as bad as they'll treat a dog. So it's not just all in black and white. These other nationalities that live with us, a lot of times it's within your own. We don't think much of each other. The reason I know that is because all of our finances going out into other communities. It has been said that 2% of our money stay with us. 98% goes out. You invest in what you carry. You don't have a man who's married to a wife giving all this money out into well, some do, but not most, into the liquor stores or the bars or other women. All the money they make, they take it home. But as a culture, we don't do that. We don't have an allegiance of commitment to what our forefathers came for before us and died for. Our allegiance is to selfishness, is to ourselves. Even in marriages, people are not committed. They're not committed. They say their vows temporarily because now people aren't married out of love. People are married out of obligation because of bills. This person can help me live a better life, but I don't have no feelings for them. So then eventually it starts to break up. Well, I'm glad in this text today we'll see that commitment is authentic in Daniel's life, not necessarily with a woman or children, but with something more important, with God. And this morning, what I want you to start assessing is, are you authentic in your relationship with God, or do you have a form of godliness? Do you really know God as well as you know church? Do you think about God more than you think about what I'm going to do from a pastor? Because God should come first. God is our allegiance. We say, we're taught when we're young to say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. They never told us why we were saying it. We were just taught, Donnie, when we were young, to stand up by your desk in elementary school, put your right hand over your heart, and say the Pledge of Allegiance. And if you didn't, there was repercussions for that. Yet now we tell you in church, if you don't draw closer to God, condemnation is going to be upon you, and your place is going south into hell. Yet we still don't listen to the allegiance of God. Well, Daniel listened to the allegiance of God. His love for God caused an unbreakable bond, even in tough times. And it's amazing how before Daniel, the book of Ezekiel left Jerusalem in ruins. If you really study the Bible, you'll see that the book of Ezekiel left Jerusalem in ruins. Now you have Daniel coming up, and it's already in ruins. And now he's coming up, and they're trying to put Jerusalem back together. And now you have the king, Nebuchadnezzar, coming and take everything out of Jerusalem, especially the kids who were educated. He takes them out of here. which helps build a prophecy that Ezekiel said. Ezekiel told us in his time that what was seen and what was foreseen by him in the former years of being captive. Ezekiel tells us this is what happened during my time, but there's one coming greater, Daniel, who came aboard, and now he goes and what he tells and what's foreseen right now. So you got Ezekiel that talks about the past. You got Daniel that talks about what's going on now and how we deal with the now. All too often, a lot of people who trust in God cannot get beyond their past, so they don't even see their present. They never even think about the future. Their future is so bleak because they've been down in captivity, whether it's on welfare, whether it's single-parent mothers, whether they got the same job forever. They can't find joy because they are held captive because they can't see far. I like how the Bible talks about the eagle-eyed prophet Isaiah, how the Bible simply says that Isaiah could see far away. He was never held captive because those who can see the vision can be the vision. But the problem comes in when I can't see my vision, then I have no roadmap to go. So then those people are tossed to and fro with every wind of doctrine. They're tossed to and fro with whatever their friends say. They're tossed to and fro by their checkbook. How many of y'all checkbooks run you? Your checkbook dictates your life. Seriously, how many of you today, your currency dictates your joy? I don't have no money. I got food, but I don't have money, so now I'm depressed. We're connecting into the wrong sockets, looking for joy. We're connecting with the wrong people, looking for peace. We have to be like Ezekiel and like David, how the Bible say that they were foreseers, that they didn't worry really about what was going on. They just kept looking forward. As long as I stay fortified with Christ and keep moving. Martin Luther King said it during his speech. If I can't crawl, if I can't crawl, walk. If I can't run, then walk. If I can't walk, crawl. Whatever you do, don't stop moving. It's amazing how back during this time they're saying the same thing. Don't stop moving. Why do we stop moving? Because we lose our allegiance, or the mere fact that we never had one. I never had an allegiance with God. The comfort of those who was in captivity was two prophets showing them that God had not quit on them. Did y'all hear what I just said? The comfort of those during Ezekiel time and Daniel time was the fact that they had not one but two prophets come along at different times saying the same thing. We're going to get out of this. We won't be in captivity forever. We're going to move. And I'm telling you today, I'm a prophet telling you today that you won't be where you are forever if you have an allegiance with God. Now, I'm not saying that just to say, yeah, he said it. No, it's predicated off of how you move. It's predicated off of you just knowing God or you in a relationship with God. That's why we get confused, Tim. See, a lot of people know of God. Satan know God better than you. I tell people all the time, we can't beat Satan with scriptures. He knows the scriptures better. He's roamed this earth. God gave him power over the airways. He knows what's in the airways. He hear everything on Facebook, Twitter. He hear these church things that's going on right now. He listening to us. He know the Bible better than we do, but the thing we have on him is we're willing to utilize the Bible, trust God with his commandments. He's not going to do that. It's one thing to know. It's another thing to do. A lot of y'all in the situation you're in today, not because you didn't know. You knew it, but you just made a decision to do something else because we like comfort. We love comfort. How many you love Saturdays where you can sit at home and do nothing? Oh, I love them. I mean, be honest now. Don't go to hell offline on Sunday. Make it lie on Monday. At least you can say, oh, for Sunday I was saved for real. But it's the truth. We love comfort. But the thing that makes you grow is discomfort. Daniel hadn't did anything, but yet he's getting introduced again to a different plateau of discomfort. And the closer you draw to God, the closer you get to God, the more uncomfortable it becomes. Makes no sense, but it's the truth. Because the Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. So don't think that I got saved today and I shouted in church and I shabaked and everybody just went forth on my behalf. Know that the enemy's waiting. He's going to get at you. It's his job. And he's never off his job. That's why the Bible says God can't be off of his job. The Bible says to counter that is that God never slumbers nor sleeps. He can't slumber or sleep because Satan is never slumbering nor sleeping. We have to make sure, God has to make sure that this Bible come to life. And the only way he can do that now is through us. So the question today is, are you captive? And what is holding you hostage when it comes to serving God? I'm not interested in what you're trying to do at home. I'm not interested today in your promotion at work. I'm interested today in your relationship with God. Because in the end, that's what lasts. That's the very substance that is sustainable, that maintains its very favor with God. Everything else will come and go. One of the scriptures, Tim, that really get me is when the Bible says, heaven and earth shall pass away. Wait a minute, heaven? I'm trying to get to heaven. Now it's going to pass away. But he gives us an illustration to say heaven and earth will pass away, but my word shall live forever. What a parable. What a parable that God shows us that heaven doesn't mean near as much as his word. Now, if he feels that way, that heaven doesn't feel as much, it doesn't mean as much as my word, then why should your car feel as much as his word? Why should your sickness be the parallel to his word? Because if heaven, streets paved with gold, ain't nothing gold about you but your teeth. You got a gold in your mouth or something like that. But other than that, ain't nothing golden about you. I know Jill Scott sang the song Golden, but ain't nothing golden about you. If he says heaven and earth shall pass away, forget the earth, heaven, what do you think he'll do with us? The parallel is this. The word of God draws a drive. And those who are serious, they become consumed with the word. Part-time people are not consumed. There's a place for you. It's with the people who had no consumption of God. Because he says, be hot or cold. Lukewarm, I'll what? Spew you out anyway. Today is a great day. Listen, we're headed in this world for anarchy. Tim, anarchy is on its way when we look at the wars that have taken place. What's going on now in this world? The United States, the superpower of the world, is being shown what it means to be spread. We're down here now with Israel and how we're helping Israel because we need Israel because the water behind them. If we don't get that water behind them, it definitely defames us. So we got to stay good with them. So that means that even in they fight, we got to fight with them. We got to help. It has nothing to do with our belief as much as we need the water. That's what I like about God. God don't care about the water. He cares about your spirit. He said, I don't care what they got to lose. Don't touch that spirit. That's Job when you get to heaven. He'll tell you. Same thing. Job had the same thing. You can take everything he had, but his spirit and his soul belongs to who? God. That's what God tells Satan when he's having a conversation with Satan about Job. You can do everything to him, destroy him, try to do everything, but his soul belongs to me. You can't kill him. Because everything else, he shows us in Job how he'll multiply and quadruple what you lost as long as you're gaining with him. To live is Christ, that's what the Bible says, and to die is gain. What does it mean to die? If I give up myself, die to self so that I might live through him. Earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, and they that dwell in. There's nothing we cannot have, but the problem is we put our have in intangibles instead of peace, instead of understanding, instead of knowledge, instead of wisdom. We put our knowledge in everything but the main thing. We don't make the main thing, Michelle, the main thing. The main thing is predicated of the author of our life, which is our fleshes. I've been there, D. I've been there. I've asked God for things because I wanted them. I wanted things, so I asked him for those sometimes, and I knew that to afford it, it was going to cost me in my finances. And the first thing back then that was going to lose out was church. Okay, I got about five people in here, all men who saying, boy, I feel you. Now, you preaching now, but it's the truth. I said, now, we're going to do this trip, baby. But it ain't going to take away from my clubbing. I'm going to minimize my offering at the church. I was young then, not in age, but in spirit. I didn't want to be stretched, and I suffered. He waited good till we got to church that it was time to lose my house. He didn't take the house, I lost it. Because my wisdom wasn't like it should be, because I had become detached. I had become detached, and when I become detached, now I lose in favor. Still have grace, which means that he's going to let me live, but I won't live in abundance. Allegiance to commitment is what I'm getting at this morning. I pledge allegiance to God, not a flag. How can I pledge allegiance to a flag that's killing the black people that when they came to America, we have never had any benefits since was brought here. Every other nationality come get benefits, and you want me to give allegiance to a flag? We still in slavery. That nobody's ever protesting why we got to give allegiance to this flag. Why we ain't, I don't even know if people ready to preach that. We're going to probably get edited again today. They don't gave us a couple of warnings, but I'm going to keep preaching the truth. YouTube, they've given us warnings because of what I'm saying, Tim. Your little brother getting warnings for telling the truth. Now I'm starting to see how Dr. King and all those guys felt. That you're tormented for the truth. But I'm going to keep on teaching it. I'm going to keep on teaching it because we need it. We need an uprising in our culture. We talk all about the Jews, but the captivity they was in was just as tough as the captivity we in. 400 years in captivity they were in. After all these good folk came before them. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, all these people came before the captivity. See, we don't realize, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Joshua, all them came before. A lot of them came before bondage. It's tough being in captivity. I've been to jail, federal prison. It's tough. It helped me for the first time in life appreciate freedom. It helped me to have a whole new definition on what freedom is. I was still eating every day, still could shower, just with a bunch of men. That I was told when to go in to the cell. During free time, you got to always keep yourself aware of your surroundings, especially in the federal pen, because they're a little smarter. They're not like chain gang in the regular city jail. These people who got a brain, they thinking, you don't go to federal pen unless you do something big. So you ain't talking about little cocaine guys in there. You're not talking about, I'm in there with guys. How you do this counterfeit money? How did you break into this computer system? Where you getting your cocaine from? How you getting yours into the country? I'm not talking, this not street, these aren't street guys, because I wasn't a street guy. I've done everything big my whole life. Whatever I was a part of, I had an allegiance to it. I had an allegiance to it. But it was only when I went to jail, I had enough time to sit down and think. And honestly, I'm not going to lie to you and say I was just thinking about God. I was thinking about my freedom. I'm looking at 25 years. Bad time, which is 22 and a half years before I can even come up for parole. That'll change your thought. That'll change your thought process. And I made a vow to God, Lord, if you bring me out of here, and this is one of the times I ever promised to God that I stuck with. Because I have made a lot of promises to God that I didn't stick with. Michelle, don't leave the church. I'm just telling the truth. We all fall short of the goodness and the glory of God. Please keep singing for me. But it's the truth. I made vows to God that I just didn't keep. But when I was in that chamber, and I was in that jail, and you're in that cell by yourself, man, and that one ain't but this high, it took me back to Daniel. When I started really reading Daniel, I said, that's me. In a way now, I didn't come in and be put up as an administrator over all these governors and all that, but God got my attention. He got my attention and said, who you going to serve now? Because I had two buddies that were playing pro ball. They were going to come and get me out on probation. I said, if y'all can get me out, give me a couple of days, I can get the money to you. I can't just go and pull it out the bank because it ain't in the bank. But I can get it to you. When you're in foolishness, those who are closest to you, you drag them in. When your mind is not clear on God, you drag people in. I had to drag my wife in. She didn't even know I was out there rolling like I was rolling. She thought I just had a grass service, a lawn care service. I had a lawn care service. Sure did. We had some customers. Yeah, we had customers too. But they're going to come by and get them bags off that pickup truck. Yeah, 10 pounds. It's 4 bags with red tape on them. Just pull them and keep going. I'm up there cutting grass. For real. This is a true story. My allegiance to what it was had no ending. That's why I love Daniel. He didn't get deterred. He didn't allow his blinders to be removed. He knew I benefited if I can keep my eyes on the prize of the mark of the higher calling. If I can continue to look to the hills from which cometh my help coming from God, I will always be encouraged. But when I take my eyes off God, that means I put my eyes on myself. And when I put my eyes on myself, I see nothing but the flesh. And when I see nothing but the flesh, I know none good things come from the flesh. So that means ultimately my ending shall be disaster. I didn't want to suffer. I wanted what I wanted, when I wanted, and how I wanted, and it put me in a bad place. And then my wife has to get involved because she don't even know where I am. I call her from the jail. What are you doing? It took me some hours to call her. What are you doing? I'm in jail. I know, I just got to collect call. I need you to come see me. What's going on? Come see me. Can't talk on the phones. Come see me. So now she's in a place. She don't understand what's going on. So I have to call. Well, that same night I tell her, then trying to speak in code, hey, I need you to go in the back room, look in this, that's up in the floor. There's a hole in the floor. What? There's a hole look in the floor. Move the carpet down there. There's a package in there. Get that out. When you see it, I can tell when she got it because I can tell by her expression. What in the world? And I'm on the phone and down there in the holding cell like, come on, Rita. Come on. Okay, take this much money out. Take this much money out. Put it up for yourself. This much money right here. You're going to go meet Jay tomorrow. Jay going to meet you at this time at this place. Give him this money. I ain't talking about $20,000. I'm talking about a lot of money. I told her to keep $80,000 for herself. This money right here going to go to my attorney, $5,000 right up front just to keep him, just to retain him. Now get Johnny this other 120. Okay. The alliance I had with that was a dead end because I never really got to do what I had planned on doing with that money. God stopped me in time. That's how I can understand what Ezekiel's talking about. He stopped me in time, Tim, because had he not, we had just opened up shop in Charlotte, and I had just made my first visit to New York. We was getting ready to run the East Coast. Straight out of Mexico. Pure. Had just got 20 keys in, had 2,000 pounds of weed. Was working for the enemy. Because to make money but put poison in the street, you're worse than the devil. Because you're professing Christ. But my allegiance spoke differently, Tim. I can't say that I love God and I'm never spending time with him. I can't say that I love him, but I'm doing things of the world to try to get ahead. I learned patience the hard way. That's why don't much move me now. I've been there. I know what it's like. I'm not moved by people in church. How many people not. I'm not, because I made a vow to God. I never made it to a man. I said, Lord, if you bring me out of this, and I'm saying that now as the money is being depleted, because every week my wife going to get his cat almost $10,000 every week. This thing expensive. Anytime you get locked up for dope, and it's a lot, they figure you got a lot. And I said, okay, well, we can keep paying. I had the Ed Tolley. I'll tell the whole story, because that's what's wrong with the pulpit today. People don't tell the truth. I was embarrassed but desperate. How many of y'all been there? I was embarrassed, but I was desperate. I was desperate to the point to where I had to use the attorney that represents UGA. Big Tim know him, Ed Tolley, one of the best in the business. I had to give, my wife called down there, get Ed Tolley on the phone, said Ed knew me from playing football at Georgia, so he's over, like I said, his office is still over. Anything happens with the football team, they come and represent us. This time, though, I had to pay. It was ugly, because eventually that money ran out. All my wife had left was what I told her to put up. And I said, when you come to court, dress up a little bit. She was a basket case. She had put her whole life in me. And what I gave her back was a wish. I falsified being a husband because I wasn't doing my job and my duty authentically. The source that I was plugging into is a dead end. But I want her to love me and my daughter Morgan, who was 2 or 3 years old, 1 year old at the time. So they come to court. She got Morgan with her. She's staying with her mom, scared to death. I'm scared. My mom comes, and my Aunt Lolo. They had every court session, the Fed courts. And you know how it is in federal pen. That ain't like city court. It ain't but one family in the courtroom at a time. Everybody on that case in the courtroom at a time. That's it. And so they see you down the hall. You coming down the hall. Coming in the courtroom, you walking right by. And your mama screaming, crying. That makes it worse. You're home, mama. I understand, but that's her firstborn. Never saw her firstborn like that. My wife sitting there just as confused, scared, beyond lethargic. My granddaddy comes down there with his wallet. What it going to take to get my grandson out? The feds say, it won't be money. Now I'm really getting weak at the knee. My granddad done bought his gold American Express and everything, got his house deed, everything to get me out, because I'm his firstborn grandson, and he know Tony ain't what they say Tony doing, but he didn't know there was another side to me called Buddha. And Tony was good, but Buddha was a hellion. Tony was pro-life. Buddha was about that life. No, seriously. So I listen to these young cats, they talk about, boy, y'all crazy. When they get to the point to where they say money won't get him out, because now I got to go back to the cell, go back, get in that truck, handcuff, ride down the elevator, because the trucks for the federal pen, they drive up in the elevators when you go to Richard B. Russell Building. Then you go up to your floor. Then they open the doors of the truck as the elevator come up. Then they got the sheriffs out there with the guns and GBI, they out there, and you just coming in. I'm like, I'm not a killer. But I guess they looked at it as I was. Ran out of money. I formed an allegiance with God after that. That was the point that broke me. Because as long as I had my resources, I built my hope on my resources. Just like a lot of y'all do now. You don't believe in paying your tithes, first fruit this morning, whatever, because you got a job. And you putting all your belief in your job instead of God. But I'm telling you, it's going to come a time where your job going to have to stand up against God, and you're going to have to choose. That there's going to come a time in your life where it ain't going to seem like I don't know how I got here, why I'm here, what's going on, this, that, and the other. But nevertheless, I'm here. And God said, now who you going to trust, big boy? And I ain't got no choice, but I broke down and cried. When I got back to that cell that next time, I cried because now I got to go from there and go all the way back over here to Thomasville to the federal pen. I don't want to be in here. I couldn't lie and say I wasn't supposed to be there. I encouraged myself by saying I'm not supposed to. I know better. And then you talk to people in there and you realize how smart they are too. We all knew better. But we made a choice. Daniel made the right choice. Daniel got to the point to where he said, I'm going to live for God regardless. Proverbs 16:3 says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plan. Listen to what I'm saying now. He said, well, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he shall establish your plan. But you got to commit first to God, and he will. For those of you who are starting business and you have all these things in mind, commit to God first. You say, why my business being held up? I cook better than Sister Crabtree. Her business is booming. Well, she committed to God first. It ain't that. It's not the gifts or the talent. It's the source. It's the source that I'm connected to or disconnected from that's bringing all this heartache and misery in my life. He comes right back. David says over here in Psalms 37:5, commit your way to the Lord. Then he comes back in the B clause and say, trust in him and he will do this. He said not only commit, David comes back and gives you two things. In the A clause, he says commit. In the B clause, he comes back and say what? Trust. I commit to God, but do I trust God? I've committed my life to God, so I say, Sister Chisholm, do I trust God? To commit and trust are two totally different things. That's obvious now in football with this NIL thing. All these kids commit to this school and say, I love this school. I'm committed. Until another school comes and say, well, we're going to give you $5,000 more. Forget that school, but I thought you loved them. No, the whole thing, I'm in love with currency. And the parents are right there with them. Baby, get all the money you can. No principles, no value. Get all the money you can. They're not looking at what school is the best. You can start over here right now and get paid. Why not go to Georgia where you can get developed and make money for a long time when you go to the pros? But parents these days are so thirsty. They're so thirsty for what they lack because of their decisions. They put the onus on their children. Y'all see all them dads at them football games with them little kids. Dad ain't never did nothing, barely got a GED. Out there coaching the son like he played 10 years in the league. I mean, it's a shame. Our whole mindset is jacked up because we don't want to commit, nor do we want to trust. We just want. We just want. And we always have two choices. Either you commit or you fear. Either you commit or you fear. And I'm quoting Sammy Davis Jr. He says only two ways to live. Either you commit to something or you fear it. A lot of people are lacking success because they fear. They're afraid to trust God. They're afraid to try God. They listen to what everybody else saying, and they ain't got a pot to piss in either. They're just a little bit cleaner than yours, but it's the same. Okay, you know what? I can't do the theological slogan anymore. I got to be me. Tell it like it is. I told y'all this year is going to be intentional. Intentional. It's going to cause some people to wither, but those who stay are going to be strong. It's already happening. I've heard people this morning that gave beautiful testimonies on how God is already blessing them. On the call Thursday night, I heard somebody else say beautifully how they had never heard first fruit preached, and now they're doing it. And watch the blessings come. I'll say this now that it's over. My sister gave her first fruit offering, not when I said give it. She gave it the next day. I said, we're going to give a first fruit offering at the end of such and such. She comes the next day, I'm giving this first fruit offering because I'm seeking God for this. Then she came back before she had her surgery and did another fruit offering, and everything she prayed for came to pass. Everything. She don't have to take chemo. She don't have to, she don't have to do none of that stuff there. And it ain't because you like her. It's because she's so first in God. Because she became committed, not to the church, but committed to God. And when you become committed to God, He can do exceedingly and abundantly above all that you can ask or think. Don't tell me God ain't real. I got out of jail and didn't have to pay a dime. All I had to do was commit and trust. Now I had to do some community service. I did. They made me do, but I did community service, and it was the best community service. I treated it better than my real job. I was early every day. And I made sure you put the hours down. Put them hours down. Now I don't want no repercussions of that taste ever again. But it wasn't the jail that gave me that taste. It was the lack of freedom and how I chastised myself for not doing what I had heard. All my life, trust God. All my life, trust God. All my life, but my eyes became my authors. And my eyes started writing my book. And the book started going left. Because I can't look at you and look at God. I can't look at the house and look at God. I can't look at what I need and look at God. I know what I need. I'm going to keep my eyes stayed on Him. He said, I'll keep you in perfect peace if you do that. You might not get it like you want to, but He said, I'll keep you in perfect peace if you do that. You always have two choices in your life. You can commit to the process or you can fear it. A lot of people are afraid to start over, Quanda, because they got hurt before. They don't think they can ever love again. A lot of people got a job and afraid to move up on the job. Because they don't want to be discomforted. A lot of people on them jobs right now in this room, James, because of comfort, they're afraid to move up and say, I'm gonna fill out the application for the next position. Yeah, and if I don't get it, I don't get it. But I might get it. And when I get it, I can show myself strong. Now you got another person in the kingdom that's in an elevated place to where they can bring other people from the kingdom in. We are stunting our growth. We got our own culture in Christ Jesus. He has his culture too, and we are a part of his culture. What are you doing to grow his culture? Because we're definitely not growing ours. What are we doing to grow God's? We don't have to worry about Hispanics, Caucasians, Asians, Philippines. We have to worry about each other. We kill each other. We're shooting each other at schools in the broad daylight. At the school schools now that were like almost private school. McKeachin is almost like a private school. Beautiful. It's a campus. Beautiful place in an area with money. But when they started regentrifying inside the city, it moved a lot of us out. So now Gwinnett County school system is worse than Atlanta. I wish I didn't have to preach this. And the only common denominator they got in them is the fact that we moving into those areas. When do we get better? When do we get better? When do we get to the point to where we say, you know what, I'm changing my allegiance. My commitment is going to come to something greater than me, something greater than my wife, something greater than my mom, something greater than my grandmother, something greater than my pastor. My allegiance is getting ready to be a commitment to God. It has to be. That's the only way you can get beyond yourself, because your worst enemy is you. Don't quit blaming it on your spouse. If you would have did this, your worst enemy is you. Because you're the one that makes up your mind to do what you're going to do. Ain't nobody make you do that. You do that yourself. So you decide this morning who your commitment going to be to. Now, we're going to get into Daniel next week. We're going to dive deep, because it's a great story that's going to show illustrations on how he overcame, how he never took his eyes off God, how he continued to stay in the race and remain on course. That, to me, you see, that's not too far from victory. A lot of times, because you walk alone don't mean you're wrong. Most time it means you're right. Because people are not into right or wrong, people are into groups. But your strength can't come from a group. Your strength has to come from your conscience. That regardless of what I say or do, I know what I did was right, even if I have to stand alone. That's the hard part about men. It ain't that men don't want to do, Donnie. Our conscience. Our conscience. I know what's right, but if I say this, it's going to cause all hell to break loose at the house. Truth be told. And a lot of times what we do, we succumb. And when it don't go the way that we know it should go, we can't blame nobody but ourselves. I should have stood up and been a man. When you look at a house, look at the man. Ask the man. Don't ask the woman, why is the house in the order it's in? Ask the man. What was his allegiance to? Who was he committed to? Was he committed more to his wife than he was God? Because God is speaking directly to him. He always come down and speak to the man. The reason I know that is when they ate the fruit from the tree, he never called Eve. He came down and said, Adam, where art thou? So the man ultimately is responsible for everything that go on in the house. Now, the wife has some great things, because wives are resilient, women are resilient, but a woman was never made to be a man. It's two totally different commitments. It's a totally different commitment. The woman is supposed to be committed to the man as the man is committed to God. But we don't commit to God, so it knocks down everything up under us. You know what? It's okay. But it's the truth. It's the truth. When a man finds out who his allegiance to the commitment really is to, watch how things change, not only in his life, but the household. Might not have any more than you had, but watch the peace that comes. You might not be able to eat out for a while, but you got a plan. You know, you're going to hurt some feelings, because in life we know that things are altered and things change. I had a plan, but it had to change. And you have to have those tough conversations. But who is your allegiance to? Today was a day to assess yourself. Next week going to be a day that we assess Daniel in every area of Daniel's life. And after you assess yourself this week, I think you'll be ready to hear Daniel next week. I told you the Lord told me to be extremely intentional this year. I'm not here to make you shout. I'm here to make you better. For those who want to be better, you're going to be better. And those who don't, we'll see in 12 months the results. You don't even have to wait that long. You can see in a couple of weeks the results. I got a testimony from somebody this morning, great testimony, and this person said, I haven't paid my tithes in a while. They said, I hadn't paid my tithes in a while. They said, but when you preach that on first fruit offering, it put me in a place to put first things first. They say, so I'm starting with my tithing. And they say, I started this week. And they say, you know, the most miraculous thing happened. We didn't have no more income coming into the house, but we ain't lacked on nothing. The person said, I had to make some adjustments. But in those adjustments, I know now I sleep better. Because I'm doing the will of the one that I'm connected to. So they got to continue to pour into me. And I promise you that that's going to happen. And don't just have to be for that person. You choose this day who you're going to serve. Your name being on a church roll means nothing. The Bible says nothing about a name on a church roll getting to heaven. Go read it. Now, if you find it, let me know. I'll buy you lunch. But if you don't find it, you're going to buy me dinner. Because it's not there. The thing with being saved, it's tough in the beginning, but it's worthwhile in the end. Remember, I always say, when you're born, you look like your parents. When you die, you look like your decisions. Your decisions today will predicate how you look tomorrow as we stand.
You've just had an experience with champions, and we are so glad that you tuned in today. Let's continue to honor God through our commitment to give. There are 4 ways to give. You can give online via Cash App at $Champions for Christ. Next, you can give online at www.championsforchristim.org. Lastly, you can give during service or on our mobile app available in the Apple and Google Play stores. Please be sure to tune in each and every week to our online broadcast. Encourage others to tune in with you. Remember, we are champions because we are champions for Christ.